I first sensed something was off the moment she stepped inside, her movements slow and heavy, as though invisible chains weighed her down. "I'm not feeling great," she murmured, letting her bag thump onto the counter before collapsing onto the couch. Her complexion was drained and her smile, tight and controlled, seemed rehearsed. I wanted to dismiss it as mere exhaustion, but a deep, unsettling feeling knotted in my chest. There was something in her gaze, not just illness but unease, maybe guilt. I urged her to sit, poured a glass of water, and tried to fill the silence with casual conversation. "You've been working late a lot lately," I said gently, careful to hide the suspicion in my voice. She gave a faint shrug, avoiding my eyes. "It's just work. I'm tired," she replied softly. Even as she spoke, the distance between us felt like it was widening. I couldn't ignore it. That night, I lay awake long after she slept, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft hum of the city outside, attempting to convince myself I was imagining things. Then 2 days later, a phone call shattered that fragile calm. It was a woman I didn't recognize, polite but hesitant. "Is this Mark?" she asked, her tone carrying a strange gravity. "I think you need to see this." Confused and anxious, I followed her directions to a small clinic across town. There, she handed me documents I never expected, results I hadn't consented to. As I scanned the pages, my stomach dropped. It wasn't an illness she had, it was something far more devastating. Evidence of betrayal. The woman before me was married to the man my wife had been seeing. She hadn't wanted to believe it either, she explained, but the results left no doubt. She thought I deserved to know. The drive home felt surreal, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles ached. I rehearsed confrontations in my mind, yet nothing could have prepared me for the sight of her sitting there, pale and composed, as if nothing had changed. "Mark," she began cautiously. "I already know," I interrupted, holding the papers in my hand. My voice shook. "I know everything." She recoiled slightly as if struck. The room thickened with silence. "It's complicated," she whispered, her voice trembling. I didn't let her finish. "You never meant to hurt me," I said, my anger mingled with shock. "You didn't mean to ruin everything." Tears welled in her eyes, but they didn't carry enough weight to repair the damage. "I didn't plan this," she murmured. "It just happened." I wanted to scream, to lash out at the chaos inside me, but instead I felt a hollow emptiness, a void swallowing me from within. My mind raced through every subtle warning I had ignored. The late nights, the sudden obsession with appearances, the small flinches when I touched her phone. Even weekends were tainted now, memories entwined with deception. Finally, I asked the question that had haunted me. "Why him? Why risk everything?" She didn't respond. Her silence was heavier than any confession could have been. Days passed, and I wandered through the home we once shared as if I were a shadow, avoiding her gaze and the gnawing questions in my mind. Yet every time I closed my eyes, her laughter echoed, accompanied by the secret she had kept from me, the stolen moments with another man. One evening, curiosity, fed by heartbreak and anger, drew me to her open laptop. I found messages outlining confessions she never intended me to see. The betrayal cut deeper with every word, each revelation twisting my chest with fire. And yet, amid the torment, a clarity emerged. This wasn't about fury anymore, it was about survival, about reclaiming a life fractured by deceit. I couldn't undo the past, but I could reclaim myself. When I confronted her again, I chose a different approach. I didn't shout or demand excuses. I laid out the truth, calmly, piece by piece, letting the gravity of her actions speak for themselves. Her eyes darted nervously, avoiding mine. There was no relief in her guilt, only the piercing reminder of how fragile trust could be. "I can't live like this," I said finally, my words bitter. "I need space to understand if what we had can survive." She nodded, tears streaming freely. "I understand," she whispered. But understanding alone couldn't fill the void left behind. Weeks passed. The house grew quiet and cold, mourning alongside us. Friends noticed the tension but received only hollow reassurances. The pain belonged solely to me. One night, I sat alone in the living room, staring at our wedding photos. Her smile, once comforting, now felt cruel. But beneath the heartbreak, I recognized something essential. I was still here. I had survived. Though the scars of betrayal ran deep, a small spark remained within me, fragile but unbroken. In that quiet ember, I found the courage to start again. To build a life where honesty mattered more than appearances, where I could trust myself even if I could no longer trust her. The wound was real, but it also carried a lesson. Hearts can break, but the soul willing to face truth, no matter how excruciating, can endure. Late into the night, the paper still in my hand, I felt the weight of everything lost. Yet, beneath it all, a faint sense of freedom stirred, a promise that life even after heartbreak could still offer hope.